Okay, I'm going to do a product comparison between two bass heads, guys. And it's going to be between the Magellan 800, this is the Genzler amplification Magellan 800, and the Mesa Engineering Subway D800. Just a couple of disclaimers. I don't work for these companies. I happen to be a loyal fan to both companies. I've been playing through Mesa Engineering cabinets for decades, and I love them for that. I happen to also love the Benz line of bass heads, and so I was really excited when both Genzler Amplification and Mesa Engineering decided to introduce a lightweight Class D bass head. So I just want to give you some very basics. I'm not a pro, I'm a weekend hacker, but I've been kind of messing with this gear for, I don't know, 40 years. So I know gear pretty well, and I can probably give you a couple of tips on what these sound like. When I heard that Mesa Engineering was introducing their 800 watt amp, I immediately bought it. I bought it for the same reason that I'll buy the next Incognito album. I'm just very loyal, and I think there are just so many bass players in the world, and we have to support these companies. So let's talk about footprint and weight first. Both of these heads are equivalent in terms of footprint and weight. They're very light, and isn't it wonderful that we no longer have to deal with these very heavy rack-mounted bass heads. And by the way, this is not a comparison between the lightweight amps and the more traditional amps. This is a simple comparative analysis between these two bass heads. Let's start with the rear of the bass heads first. I'm not going to show that to you here, but you can look that up on the web. When you look in the back of these two heads, the first thing you discover is that the Genzler Magellan 800 has an effects loop as well as a tuner out, and the Mesa Engineering does not. So if those things are important to you, then you're going to want to think about that, okay? Both have auxiliary in, and the Mesa Engineering head has a headphone out. So I guess if you're a college student playing bass at 2 o'clock in the morning in the dorm, like I was in the early 80s, then maybe that will be important to you. Okay? All right, so let's go a step further now and talk about the front of these two heads. What you notice right away is that on the both heads obviously have the equalization. I'm not going to go through this with bass, the mids, and treble. They both have the same thing, which is really good, of course. But in terms of the variation of tone, the variation of sound that you can tweak for yourself, the Mesa Engineering Subway 800 has a deep switch. It's kind of like a low boost, and a dial that says voicing. So this is more variation that you can dial into. So I want to focus on the deep switch and the voicing dial. Whereas on the Genzler Magellan 800, there are two channels, a clean channel and a drive channel, and then a contour, which gives you, again, another curve that you can tweak in terms of your tonal quality. So let's just play a couple of notes. I doubt that you're going to be able to hear the difference through YouTube, but let's just make a couple of sounds here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw the deep off and the voicing down to flat first. Now let's throw the deep switch on and see if we can tell a difference. Okay, now let's go ahead and dial the voicing knob all the way up. It's a boost. Okay, and let's do one more variation. Let's turn the boost off and keep the voicing high. Now keep in mind that I use fingernails to get that sort of pick effect, and so I was kind of mixing it up a little bit there. You didn't get that pick sound from the bass head per se. It was really about the little fingernails. Okay, now let's do the same thing with the Genzler Magellan 800, okay? I'm going to make a quick speaker switch here. Okay, and let's basically do the same thing. Let's start with the clean channel, and we'll just leave contour as blue. There's two different switches here. Let's just leave it as blue first, and let's see what kind of sound we get. Okay, now let's go, without touching the contour, let's go and use the drive. And we'll kind of set gain to sort of the midpoint and volume wherever it wants to be. Okay, kind of clean, pretty nice. Let's go a little bit higher on the gain. Okay, so you're hearing that drive in there. It's pretty cool, actually. And just to show the contour, I'm going to go ahead and let's leave it where it is and go to a different contour curve. This is the shaping. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop there. And I don't think that the sound is going to be too meaningful to you through YouTube. But here's what I'm going to say. If you're a Mesa Boogie bigot, if you love the Mesa Boogie heads, if you're a rock and roll bass player, and especially if you use Mesa Boogie cabinets, I think you're going to be happy with this head. I don't particularly feel that there's enough variation in terms of the sound that I can dial in this head. I think the voicing knob and the deep switch are good, but not good enough. I want more variation. But, you know, put the right bass through that head, and you will get that, you know, that classic Mesa Boogie growl, if you will. So you'll be happy about that. Now, if you're more of a contemporary jazz guy, if you do a lot of slapping and plucking and finger method, you're going to get more control out of the Genzler Magellan 800 without going to, you know, too much control. I think they did a really nice job in terms of that. Now, which one do I choose? Okay, I'm keeping them both because I really love both of these heads. I really do. I love the idea of having a Mesa head on a Mesa cabinet. I really do. But I'm also absolutely thrilled with the Magellan 800. I love the idea that an individual can put together a wonderful product and go, you know, head to head with the major company and really stand out. And I just really appreciate that about Genzbenz and Genzler amplification. So that's where that is. I'm going to close. I'm just going to have a little fun here, and then we'll close the video.